All right, good morning and welcome. It looks like we have just hit 10 a.m., so we're going to get started here. If you're just joining us, my name is Joe Skelly and I'm a digital book specialist here at Overdrive. I'm joined by my teammate Marissa Gillette, and we're going to take you through getting started with Libby, the one-tap reading app from your local library. Now, before we dive into the Libby app, just a few housekeeping items I'd like to go over. We are recording our sessions this morning, so you will receive those in a follow-up email tomorrow morning. So if there's a distraction and you need to step away for a minute, or if you want to review or share these recordings with family and friends who would also benefit from meeting Libby, that option is there. Those will come in an email from Zoom, and it will include the Getting Started session and the 10:30 deep dive into Libby, where we cover our favorite tips and tricks. Of course, you're welcome to stay for that session, but if you don't have the time to stay on the line, just know that recording's coming. You'll also receive this PDF, which breaks down the process of downloading the Libby app and signing in for the very first time, which I'm about to cover on screen here. And then our last housekeeping item, of course, you can ask Marissa and I questions anytime by tapping on the Q&A button within your Zoom meeting controls. Looks a little bit like this. It might just say Q&A on your screen, or you might see the two chat bubbles with Q&A. That is the only way you can talk to us and ask us questions. We have chat and the raise hand feature disabled. We prefer all of the questions go into one place, so that way we can see them all in one clean spot, and also everyone else can see those questions. They can see those responses, and everyone can benefit from those answers. You do have the option to ask questions anonymously if that's something that makes you more comfortable. So with all of that said, I'm going to take a moment here and get my device connected. So Marissa and I are both using iPads today. The Libby app is a free app available on iOS, Android, and in a browser. So you can use it on your Apple mobile devices like your iPhones and iPads, or your Samsung tablets or smartphones, or of course by going to libbyapp.com in your computer browser. Now, once we get into the Libby app itself, you'll see the same experience, whether you're on Apple, Android, or in a browser. There are no differences once we're in the actual app. There we go. Looks like I'm all connected. The thing I do want to mention is there is not currently a Libby app available for Kindle Fire devices. While we're always working on that, right now Libby is just not available for the Kindle Fire, but you can use Libby to send titles to any Kindle, so you can read on that device. So it looks like I'm all good to go. I'm going to now take us through the process of downloading the Libby app and getting signed in for that very first time. So if you are on an Apple device like I am, you'll be looking for your blue App Store icon. If you're on an Android device, you'll be looking for the Google Play Store. It's a multicolored play button or multicolored triangle, wherever you'd typically go to download apps from. So now that we've entered, we'll go to our search bar and we know what we're looking for. We're looking for Libby. So I'll type in Libby and then tap on search. When I tap search, Libby's usually the first or second result, depending on if any ads pop up, and we've got one popping up here. So we know we're looking for Libby by Overdrive. It's that maroon app with Libby reading her book. You'll notice on my screen it says open. I do already have Libby downloaded on my device, but on yours it will say get or install if you haven't downloaded Libby before. Once again, Libby's completely free, so tap get or install and give the app a minute to download. And then once it's all downloaded and it says open on your screen, we'll leave our app store and find Libby on our device. So it's that same exact app we just saw in the store. And when we tap in this very first time, Libby has a few questions for us to help us find our library and get signed in with our card. After we do this initial setup, she'll remember our location and our card, so we don't have to worry about doing this again. So I'm going to answer this first question with a big yes, I do have a library card. And now we have to find our library. So I recommend using the I'll search for a library button. This allows you to search by your library name, your city, or your zip code. I'm going to do zip code today. And the card I am using today is from Carroll Stream Public Library, which is part of the eMedia Library digital collection. So I'll just tap on this box here. And there we go. Now we've popped into the first stage of our library here. We see eMedia Library up at the top, but we still need to add our library card. So Libby's asking us to do that. Since my library is Carol Stream Public, I'm just going to tap on this line here. If you're visiting us from another eMedia library and you didn't pick that at the last step, you can always tap on choose another location and find your library in that alphabetical list. But I'm just going to tap on Carol Stream Public. And now we enter our library card number. So it's the number printed on your card, usually under a barcode. Enter the number only, no dashes or spaces. And with that card number in, we'll tap on next. And then we need to enter our PIN. So the PIN is by default the last 4 of your phone number when you registered for your card. But if that's changed, you no longer know your PIN number, just reach out to your library. They control that info and they'll be able to adjust it for you. So I've got my card number and my PIN entered, so I'll tap on sign in. And as long as I've done that correctly, the screen will refresh. There we go. And now we see that full first level of our digital library here. Logo up at the top, and as we start going, we'll see different collections and lists and guides that our library has put together for us. But that takes us through downloading and signing in for the first time. Now I get to hand things off to Marissa. She's going to connect her device and go through the process of the basic Libby steps. So searching for titles, borrowing and placing holds, adjusting our reading appearance settings, and then setting up our notification preferences. Marissa's using a demo library from Overdrive, so we don't borrow any books y'all might be waiting for. But it looks like she's all connected, so thank you for joining us, and I'm going to hand it off to Marissa.
All right, thank you, Joe. Like Joe said, I'm just going to cover the very basic steps that you need to know to get started with Libby. So I'm going to do my best not to overwhelm anyone with any complicated features. It's all going to be the simple how to borrow, how to place holds, and how to make sure you're being alerted about important events. So we're going to start down at the very bottom of the screen here. This is where you're going to find the navigation bar in Libby. There's 5 icons across this bar, and I'll go over each one of them throughout the presentation. What we're going to do is start to the left of the Libby icon. So that Libby icon is in the very center there. To the left of that is where we're going to do all of our searching and browsing. So this is a good place to start our presentation. And then, as I said, as we continue moving through the presentation, I'll keep reorienting you down in this navigation bar. So we're going to start at the library card here, this icon down at the bottom. It's the second icon. This is always where you're going to first open. When you first open Libby, you saw Joe, it first opened on that screen there. This is where you can browse your library's digital collection. So if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, this is the great and only place really to start is on this page. So up at the top here, you'll find different filters that you can start filtering this browsing experience by. So if you want to look at what's new or what's popular or just go in a random list, then you can do that. You can also search by subject here. So good option if you are like a specific genre. As we move down this page here, you'll find different guides. These will all vary by library. Commonly, there's a kids and teens guide so that there's specific content in there for the kiddos. And then as we move farther down that page, you'll start to see curated and generated lists. So these are going to be curated collections that your library puts together for you. Just like if you were to walk into the physical library in the summer, they might be displaying some beach reads on an end cap. In the winter, it might be cozy mysteries. So this is going to be the digital version of that. So these will change month to month and whenever the library wants to show you something fresh, new, and exciting. Now, while we're here, I do want to point out how you can visually tell the difference between an ebook and an audiobook. You might think it's obvious, but I'll point it out just in case. There is going to always be a full jacket cover for ebooks. So all the full jacket cover, there's not going to be any icons or any other information there. Right next to this title here is an audiobook. We know that because there's a pair of headphones right underneath that cutoff jacket cover there. And then it'll always say the length of time that audiobook is right next to it. So just pay attention, look for those headphones down at the bottom if you're looking for an audiobook, and look for that full jacket cover if you're looking for an ebook, because these are locked into those formats. You will be borrowing an ebook on that full jacket cover and an audiobook with those headphones. So I'm going to now come back down to the bottom here. Let's say that we are specifically looking for a certain title or a certain author. So instead of browsing on the library card tab here, we're going to come over to the magnifying glass. This is where you can type in a specific title or author. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Wonder here. I'm going to look for the book Wonder, and I'm just going to tap search. So when you're searching for a title, this will show up in any list that you're looking for or looking through. You'll notice that some titles will say place hold next to their jacket cover, while other titles will say borrow. If a title says borrow, that means it's available to borrow right now. If a title says place hold, that means there's currently a waiting list. There's people reading every copy that the library owns. So to join that waiting list, all you have to do is tap on place hold. That's going to bring you to your confirmation page here. And on that confirmation page at the very bottom, you'll see approximately how long that title would take to get to you. And then you can confirm that you want to place the hold by tapping that big maroon button there. Now, once you place your hold, Libby will give you a few different options here for what to do next. I'm going to come down and say keep browsing. That's going to take us right back to the same search that we were making. So I'm going to say keep browsing. And now you can see we're still in that search for Wonder. And I wanted to borrow Wonder, so we could borrow it right here by tapping this borrow button next to the jacket cover. But if you don't know what a book is about yet, just tap on the jacket cover itself, and that's when you'll be able to view that title's details page. So you'll be able to see what it's about. And if it convinces you to read it, then you can borrow it from this screen as well. So there's a borrow button right underneath that jacket cover. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. You can see that we're borrowing Wonder for 21 days. That is the default loan period for your library. So after 21 days, the title will go back to the library. You don't have to worry about late fees or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and tap on borrow. And now we can see this title is downloading for offline use. So as soon as I get a check mark in this circle here, that's when I can take the book off or my tablet off of Wi-Fi. I don't have to have cellular data. I could go up in a plane, out in the woods, out to the beach, and it will still work perfectly fine. And now I'm going to go ahead and tap on open book. And this is when Libby is going to give me the option to either send my title to a Kindle device and read it there, or read the title in Libby. So I don't show you the Kindle process in this presentation because it requires me to sign into my Amazon account. But it is a really simple process. All you have to do is tap on Kindle. It will prompt you to sign into your Amazon account. And then there will be a big gold button that says Get Library Book. You can't miss it. And all you have to do is tap on that. And the next time your Kindle is on Wi-Fi, it will deliver it there. I'm going to talk about a few of the key reading features in the Libby app. So let me tap on Libby here, and that's going to open our book up. So up in the top and the very bottom of the screen, you'll see some menus here. To make these menus disappear, all you have to do is tap on the center of the screen. And next time we make those reappear, I'll show you how you can see your reading progress, but the menu has been taking a minute to load today. So I'm just going to tap on the center of the screen. That's going to make those menus disappear, and we can get started reading by tapping or swiping on the right side of the book just to page forward. And I'm going fast so that I can get to a nice big chunk of text here. So you'll notice that this text is quite small. And what's really great about the Libby app is that you can customize your reading experience to meet your needs. So I'm going to change the appearance here and show you how you can customize the book for you. So I'm going to tap in the center of the screen. Anytime you want those menus to disappear or reappear, you can tap on the center of the screen to make that happen. I'm going to come up to the very top right-hand corner here next to that A icon. You can see that stands for appearance. So I'm going to tap on that, and that will bring up our appearance menu. There are a few different things you can change within your reading appearance. The first is the text scale. So you can use this text slider here to increase or decrease the font size. Next, you have your lighting. Libby is automatically in bright mode by default, so that's what we're in right now. But if you prefer something a little easier on your eyes, or you like to read at night a lot, you can use this dark mode as well. That's my favorite setting there. Last but not least, we have book design. These are the different fonts that you can put Libby into. I always like to point out this open dyslexic font here. It gives an extra weight to the bottom of the characters and a little extra space in between the characters, which might make it easier for some users with dyslexia to read. Now, I'm going to put these back to my default here, and that's because these are sticky settings. And what I mean by sticky settings is you only have to change them once, and then moving forward, Libby's going to automatically deliver those titles to you with those customizations in place. You're not going to have to make these changes every time. Now I'm going to actually leave my text scale a little bit bigger for my next presentation there. So before I hop out of this ebook, I just want to point out it's loading again, but you can see the percentage here on each side of the reading bubble. So I'm 5% of the way through. By default, it will show you the page number you're on, and then on the right side, it will show you the total number of pages. So just keep that in mind as well. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this ebook. I'm going to do that by tapping the back button in the top right-hand corner there. Just remember, if those menus aren't there and you want to leave the title, just tap in the center of the screen. That will make those reappear. And then you can tap back up in the top left-hand corner. So I'm now going to reorient you here. Down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see our navigation bar, and now we have a reading now bar there as well. That will appear as soon as you open a title, and it's just there so you can have easy access to hop back into that title without having to return to your shelf every time. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this so that you can see that full navigation bar down at the bottom. So at the beginning of the presentation, we started on the left side of the Libby menu. This is where you do your searching and browsing. Search for something specific at the magnifying glass. Browse your entire library's digital collection on the library card icon. Now we're on our shelf. So this is where our loans and holds are going to be. So here, if I come up, you can see is the title that I just borrowed with you earlier in the presentation. And then I also have an audiobook that I borrowed before our presentation that I'm just going to hop into here. So at the top of your audio player, you'll see the reading progress. I'm about 58% of the way through and about 3 hours in. To begin playing an audiobook, all you have to do is tap on play, that will start that narrator from talking. She's talking on my side, not on your side, so that you can hear me instead. But when you're done listening for the time being, just go ahead and tap on pause here. There's not a stop button in Libby. We like a nice clean interface. We didn't want too many buttons for you to keep track of. So that pause button acts as our stop button. That will stop the narrator from talking. And then that's when you can go ahead and close the app, or similar to that ebook, come up to the top left-hand corner here to tap back, and that will return us to our shelf. And you can see down at the very bottom, I now have a new reading bar. So because I opened that audiobook, it has taken that place. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this here again. We have 2 icons down at the bottom left to go. So next to your shelf is where you're going to find your account activity, your activity timeline. So if you tap on that, you'll just see a nice little neat timeline that shows you all of your loans and holds, renews, and returns. The last, but certainly not least, and I would argue most important icon here is in the very center of that navigation bar. This is your Libby menu, and you can think of your Libby menu as your account settings, if you will. Libby is currently telling me I have 1 notification, this little red dot on her head. She's saying you have 1 notification waiting for you. I'm going to go ahead and tap on the Libby menu to view that. So you can see the Libby menu pops out from the right-hand side. Up at the very top of the screen is where those notifications will be. So my notification is letting me know I had a hold that lapsed. I'm going to dismiss this out of the way just to talk a little further about what notifications are and why they're important. So I'm going to tap and hold on this current notification here and just start swiping it to the left. As I do that, you can see a new box is taking its place. So that is saying manage notifications. I just had to dismiss my current notification out of the way to see that. And now I'm going to tap on that button there. So there are 3 ways that you can be notified about important events that happen in Libby. You can ignore any notifications for certain things. You can set a menu badge. That is an in-app notification. So you have to have the Libby app open to see it. And it's actually what you just saw me walk through. So the first indication was the dot on Libby's head. And then the second indication, once I opened the Libby menu, was that box that showed me what that notification was at the top of the Libby menu. So you have to have the Libby app open to see that. The blue notification line is a push notification, and that will appear on your device's screen regardless of what app you have open. You could be browsing the news, reading on Facebook, and if a notification comes in, you'll still be able to see it on your device's screen. So that's one of my favorite options that I recommend. Right below all the ways you can be notified are the things that you can be notified about. The most important is hold ready. And the reason it's important to be notified when your hold is ready is because when it's your turn on the wait list, the book will be in a 3-day limbo where you are the only person who can take action on it. And the 3 actions that you can take are to cancel the hold, to borrow the hold, or to have the hold delivered later. That just means you got busy, so you set up a time where you stay at the top of the wait list, and then once that time ends, you'll be the next person in line. Now, if you don't take one of those actions in that 3-day limbo period, then Libby is going to automatically deliver the title later for you one time as a courtesy, and that will be a 7-day period. If the second time you get notified after that 7-day courtesy period, the book comes to you and you have that 3-day period again to take action, and you don't take action the second time, that's when Libby will cancel your hold, because that will be 6 days that book stayed in limbo, and your hold will be canceled. You'll have to go and rejoin the wait list again, and that will put you at the bottom. So getting notified to make sure that you're delivering it later if you're not ready is really important. I'm going to come up and tap on back here. We have 2 more things to talk about inside that Libby menu. The next is the library cards. So you can add as many library cards as you'd like to Libby. These can all be the same from the same library. So if you have multiple people in your family who want to share a device, you can all add your library cards to that single device. These can all be from additional libraries as well. So if you have access to multiple libraries in your area and it's a valid library card and they use Overdrive services, you can always add those library cards as well. And the benefit to that is I have a demo library here. Maybe I tap into it, search for a specific title, and my library doesn't own it, or it has a really long wait list. I can always come into the Libby menu here, tap into my second library and see if they have a shorter wait list or they've purchased that copy or a copy of that title instead. So it's really nice and beneficial to have multiple library cards if you can. Last but not least, we have help and support. So if you come down to get some help, this is where you can find common solutions to frequently asked questions, or you can come up to the top here and type in a question or a keyword. So I'm just going to type in a keyword. I'm going to say holds, and I'm going to let Libby guess what I'm asking here. I'm wondering where to find my holds. And so we can see where are my holds. She gave me a few different options trying to guess what I'm asking. This is the question I wanted, so I'm going to tap on that. And now Libby's giving me the full directions on where to go and find our holds. If you can't find what you're looking for here, you can always come down to Ask Our Support Team. If you tap on that, this is going to connect you with Overdrive technical support specialists. They are Libby experts, so there's not a question that you can ask that they don't know the answer to. And then they can also help you troubleshoot if you run into any deeper issues, maybe your audiobook's not downloading correctly or something like that. They can help you out through email. And those are all the very basic steps that you need to know about the Libby app before you get started. I'm going to let Joe take back over on the screen here to wrap up with a few final thoughts.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Marissa. And thank you all so much for joining us this morning for this Getting Started with Libby presentation. We will be starting our Libby tips and tricks session where Marissa and I take a deep dive into our favorite features of the Libby app at the moment in about 3 minutes at 10:30. Of course, you're welcome to stay on the line for that. But if you don't have the time today, or if you have taken in all you can for the morning, no worries. You will receive a recording of that session tomorrow morning in an email from Zoom. So that email is going to have this Getting Started session we just completed and that tips and tricks session nicely packaged up for you, along with our Getting Started with Libby PDF that talks all about downloading Libby and signing in for the very first time. You're welcome to share this PDF and those recordings with family and friends, anyone who you think would benefit from meeting Libby.